So that the news my different especially for like since like Gaara like current sensitive transformation especially getting them critical to usually that when you have completed that we have so detailed that it's just being like I think like just a single arm of that Gaara alone that has and like the half or like a certain extent of like the a bit of like a portion of Gaara space alone that has like undergone like the sensitive transformation it's definitely one of the brain because I don't think it to be just like the current strength transformation strength with which like Gaara right now fighting up against us, they would be that only a fraction of Gaara's like full ultimate full giant transformation forms strength for stepping into the division. So that form would be definitely extremely that full transformation one is like complete literally completed equation Gaara would be turning extremely ginormous into even very bigger than like even like the Yamamoto stores of like Naruto, something bigger of Naruto. Even they not bigger than that would be that Gaara like actual transfer transformation form, while like the transformations like fully complete. It's definitely my personal impression. So definitely until reaching that point, I'm definitely right now with like it just being only kind of like a bit of like just like the single arm was like Gaara alone that like not taken the transformation. But even right now, maybe I'm the different for regulation after like in like the current fight against Jack Gaara, still being able to like even though initially I'm the point like the fight like last day to like to struggle against like Gaara like strength coming out of like the transform for like everything that's still being able to like things that should learn and simply adapting to like the upgrade powers of Gaara right now and Amber Sasuke like eventually only starting to like counterattack against like Gaara and Amber like eventually Sasuke Amber maybe like Sasuke starting to like show the order of Gaara even with the Gaara's transformation and then Amber Sasuke eventually landing Sasuke's like Chidori once again from Gaara is like the scenario that I was right. So that at that point Amber like it would be like that spirit within that Gaara that would be getting extremely enraged with like Sasuke's powers like offering it and basically that they seem Sasuke as like such that he's really frustrating like the sense spirit to like the point of like I'm looking like the sense spirit like breaking all barriers and limitations right now that would be having Gaara would be having right now is like person from like achieving that full uh giant sense of transformation and that way that sense spirit out of its extreme rage and frustration towards like Sasuke like on those limits and barriers and like still managing to even with like let's also or like a little like sense but still managing to like fully transform into like that scientific transformation form is like the one possible scenario that I'm looking for. Like I'm looking like at that point like the spirit like being sophisticated and basically at that point maybe that just another arm of like Java as well getting transformed into the transformation. So like and Sasuke and Gaara and Victor maybe like the other arm of Gaara as well as like the industry of like Gaara's face or like just half of like Gaara's face alone. It's good remaining in the transform form and like once again like the battle continuing between Sasuke and Gaara. But like at that point it's like only two arms of Gaara undergoing the transformation just like Temple and Gaara power levels and DC stingrays and making it that much extremely hard for like Sasuke to like do anything against Gaara like scenario that I'm looking. Still I'm looking like Sasuke keeping up that fight and maybe eventually that fight reaching a point where like I'm looking that Sasuke will be once again like outsmarting Gaara. So like that would be the and landing some sort of strength in at that point, Gaara even at that point. So like that would be like the point where like the final limit would be broken out of like that extreme rate to the level that step into that would be like turning into like it's like ultimate full transformation which would be that the giant transformation form of Gaara. I'm definitely sticking my motivation for it definitely being an actually giant transformations like trending against whom against which like I'm doing that the moment Gara would be actually Gara transcript would be like turning into that full gen transcript transformation from itself like and like the fight instantly turn she's the one fighter and okay not being able like do anything at all and on top of that like the game being forced to like totally like focus on like basically only Sasuke not even being able to like struggling to even attack back. Like Sasuke would be like in struggling to like dodge like the incoming attacks of from like Genesis and Spirit form like and definitely eventually like the Genesis Spirit form like the other Sasuke that like finally landing on Sasuke and like Sasuke keeps to struggle. Like the scenario that I'm looking and maybe I'm looking at this point that basically you know who's like currently poisoned, like and still showing up and making that unexpected entrance is like the scenario that I'm doing. And definitely I'm sitting remember the mission for like how exactly Shino would be like saving himself from like the poison. And definitely it won't be a scenario where like some other ninjas from like the Leafy Days would be showing up there and would be seeing Shino like basically poison and basically saving Shino or anything like that. Definitely bring it to be Shino by himself that is the himself from like a person. So like I'm thinking that very little chakra or the many chakra that Shino would be having, like I'm thinking while being while the poison is spreading more and more would like Shino's body and like Shino would be on the verge of that very little bit of chakra that Shino would be having that Shino would be commanding his like but to like basically to like enter and basically to like take out like to absorb out and take in all that poison. So like to consume all that poison from Shino's body. So like all those bugs like totally entering and like taking in all that poison out of like Shino's body and that dying and ending up dying on the place of Shino. And that way like something like Shino sacrifice and just like but all of it's like and that death like it's like but he like stays in bed from like the poison. It's like it's another that I'm doing. Yet like I'm doing like with all of the bugs gone like would be like totally not really aware that it straight away goes up to like class if you won't be able to do anything without things happening with like class. So like I'm getting like straight away since is currently in that the form like I'm finding a new set of bug army and that would be like way more dangerous and stronger than let's prove it that bug army is like the scenario that I'm living. So like crafting all those like basically managing to like gather up all those bug using his powers and basically that way after gathering all those bug army like straight away heading over to find Sasuke and like by the time we'll be making it towards like Sasuke. And I was bringing by the time we'll be making it towards Sasuke, even at that point I'm doing the team of like Naruto Bakun and Sakura still won't be making it towards like Sasuke like the Naruto that I'm doing. So like I'm looking definitely since like I think like Bakun had earlier like sent someone like basically uh, like uh, like traveling through like towards like the same direction as like heading towards like the same direction as Sasuke. I think that earlier since like I think Park has sent something like that and because that might another friend that might be that fan bullish ninja teacher like basically about religion to like fight against that's what we are facing the transaction for having that for benefited and eliminated like that was we able to do next and then that then him gathering up to like henchmen and basically heading over to like the capture of the power of the Navy might be the case. So like I'm looking that way. Their team like totally maybe catching up to like Naruto's speed. It's also like a focus to that under the point. So like then totally I'm just going like by the time Naruto will be like with like Naruto according to like Parsons orders like Naruto right now taking this like long cut. I'm just still by the time that long cut will be joining in towards like the actual straight line kind of like a direction towards which that which will be leading to a Sasuke. Like I'm going to be then that I'm looking at the team of like Naruto and through like I'm looking at probably running into like I mean like the team of like Zamilish reach of and like Hinsman like they're running into the team of Naruto and throws like the scenario that I'm doing and then a fight between them happening. So like while all this would be happening like I'm looking would have record from like the person and gathered up to like Buck army and might have already made it to like the Sasuke would be struggling against like the fully transformed like Gaara like transformed form like the scenario that I'm doing. So like even as well doing the absolute best and fighting alongside Sasuke and helping Sasuke out to like totally bring down Gaara but like even that comeback. But like I'm doing even before Sasuke would be getting taken out by uh, Gaara's like or winning to be the strength of getting in a frame. So definitely and on top of that like would be already exhausted from the blood fight from Santo as well. It also the movement brain. So like even though would be throwing up the head of the like not being able to like do much even remotely anything at all like it's not very good. And like still thinking about things to be like for it to be like a scenario where like Agostino would be like getting sidelined like because that Gaara and Spirit form finally capturing Sasuke and basically Sasuke getting badly injured and Sasuke totally unable to like move. And at this point, like Gaara and Spirit form will be able to take Sasuke's life, and that's very last second to view. And like I'm going like it's not being just Naruto, but like it being like that. But it would be like a punch or like a huge like Gaara Jens and Spirit form trying to like strong Sasuke. But like at that very last second, I'm doing like Sasuke was the only thing that like this is it for like Sasuke. That Sasuke is like about to die would be along with the line Sasuke would be feeling, but like at that very last second, I'm going to like Henry was of like basically Naruto with this like on top of this like Damabunta Road and basically it's like it would be like Damabunta Road that the bring would be like stopping that attack of like Gaara. That's it. So it's like the scenario that I'm saving the big like the scenario that I'm doing. And from that point on, like Naruto, the thing of like Naruto and like the Damabunta Road versus like Gaara and with like the giant transcript form, it's like the scenario that is simply going to bring. Oh, the like the trends right now for like in Gara stuff like Gara all by himself doing his chat with like watching other kids play like I'm looking like this even that scenario as well might be like something that like Gara might have had to like put in effort to even create for like Gara to even be able to witness like other kids like play itself like I'm looking like definitely I'm looking like Gara might have had like an extremely difficult uh childhood when even compared to like Naruto's like childhood sadness and the sadness that suffering that Naruto has to go through during his like younger days would even be might not even be nowhere near comparable to like the extreme difficulties and sufferings that like Dara might have gone through, way back then might be like the use of the film and for like for Gara to even be able to like step out of like his like home or even that, like I'm putting Gaara, like Kafigage might have been such a realistic character that he might have not even, he might have tried to like ensure to like keep Gaara from even leaving or even stepping out of his home, stepping on his limit. So like Gaara might have not even grew up not even having, not even that bare minimum freedom at all, definitely not the embraceable. Definitely there might have been like these ninjas like kept at guard or to always ensure that Dara always was like kept in the by that there might have been like Dara situations definitely my brain which so that definitely what might have happened would be that even like so like my three embraces were like even in this like scenario in this like past of Dara where like Dara is like basically like sitting and watching like other kids play in the playground. Like I'm saying, the actual effect that might be that those other kids might not even be aware of like Jara's presence there. So the claim of the emotions, like yet like I'm throwing like it would be like the suffering of Jara might have been so extreme that like it would be totally even way more not even come it might not be not even comparable I thought to to the extreme sufferings of Jara might be not even comparable to that Naruto suffering because like unlike in Naruto's case where uh, unlike in Naruto's case where like it was only like the adults alone that knew of like the spirit of like the night was that present being presented in like Naruto. In like the case of Gaara, like I'm saying, like even like the kids there living there in like the sand village might have been well fully aware of like the Kafigage their Hokage level in there and the Kafigage's son being like uh, extremely dangerous and basically even like the parents might have told the kids to like never go if they ever see things like to never go near it and all that. So remembering because like even back then I was looking like for Jara who might have been totally living a life of like an indoor life where like a fat routine starting again might have been doing like absolute best to like will keep the indoors like a routine step. Yeah, that might not only extremely like disturbance of like Gara that I'm Gara might have often eliminated a bunch of that and might have often uh, uh, that will like step out of like its zone and might have even done that multiple times in like about 11 service. So like I'm giving even this uh like memory of Dara where like Dara is like sitting and watching like the other kids play. Even that as well would be like something that yeah, Dara might have had to like put in even that minimum freedom might be like something that Dara had to like put in like all those efforts to even have definitely memorized. So like what Dara might have been that during that point, like Dara might have stealthily taken out like a bunch of guards that are Gaga might have set up to like guard for and watch over Dara into and like while the Kapugaga might have been away, like Dara might have might have stealthily taken out like those eliminated those guards and might have made it to like the playground. It's definitely remember the because like deep down Dara might have been desperate to like totally want to that play with like other players. It definitely remember the everything. Yeah, like I'm thinking like what might have happened. My other impressions for like what might have happened would be that to like Dara right now seeing like those kids play like I'm doing right now the scenario totally being like to be like Gaara totally approaching like the other kids and telling them that she wants to play. So like at that point, self remembering the other kids would be like straight away recognizing like or like I'm doing at that point, like the kid asking Gaara like what's his name, and like Gaara innocently telling them that's Gaara. So like I'm doing the parents might have told like those kids that they need to like totally watch out for like Gaara, especially my sister. So like the kid might only know the name Gaara, that you are the so that way, the moment they will be hearing like the name Gaara, like I'm sure all the kids will be fleeing and running away from Gaara. Might have been what might have happened during Gaara's service. But anyway, of the religion. So like this might have kept on, but like still Gaara might have, for Gaara might have been like, might have really not give up and might have repeatedly like tried the same thing going to like different playgrounds multiple times. But like each and every single time, it might have been like the same result for like Gaara's the minimum presentation. So like number like this, all this might have eventually thought that like mindset of Gaara to like eventually shift. Like eventually there might have reached that point where like that tipping point where like Gaara might have been fed up with like everyone fearing Java and running away from Java. That absolute solid truth. Like basically totally unlike in like Naruto states where like it was just like there wasn't like people actually running away there from Naruto. But like in Jara's case, like this might have been what might have happened. Like even like Jara might have grew up through first experience and situations with actually my brain. So certainly, this might have eventually reach like a tipping point in like Jara's mindset that like Jara might have eventually been fed up with like trying to like approach others and like make friendships that like a Muslim like Jara might have eventually decided to like embrace that the power of Jara with like which was causing everyone to like that fear that everyone had towards like Jara because like Jara might have eventually ended up embracing that fear and that might have decided to like love that like fear that like Gara was able to like instill by just this like without doing anything by just this like sheer presence just like my brain was so like that and the empathy connections like because the Gara at that point might have totally said that he has absolutely he has like absolutely nothing else to like rely on or nothing else in his life of the band. And it's like 12% security spend it like how like for all this like fear to like everyone around it. So like I'm usually Gara might have usually ended up feeling that he has no other choice but to like love that and other doing that way. Like this obsession might have happened within like Gara to basically create more fear towards like the people around him, especially might be the campers. So that might have been like the extreme situations in which like Gara might have grew up, might have shaped up that Gara eventually might have played a serious role in that shaping up Gara's mindset to it reaching to like the point where like Gara mindset is in like certainly my frame. So Gara, my country ambition for like Gara's like childhood and Gara's suffering would be far might have been like far extremely like might have been like far extreme when compared to like the suffering that of like that Naruto went through during his like childhood. That's definitely my country ambition. So like definitely I'm super relaxed in it. They want like the Gaara versus like Naruto fight will be happening. Like at that point I'm super definitely Naruto exactly like how during that Naruto fight against like Neji like Naruto had like literally compared like the extreme suffering and like the extreme disadvantage of Neji of like not being able to like maybe not being able to like access not having zero freedom and not even being able to like access true powers due to like that conflict like for and everything. The fact that Naruto yet like the fact that Naruto yet had basically compared that extreme suffering in the like a life of like Neji to like the life of someone like Hinata and Naruto himself. I'm looking like the similar scenario but like eventually once like Naruto would be facing off against Gaara, like I'm saying the extreme suffering of Gaara. That Gaara has been going through as he grew up all the way back from his childhood and becoming like Naruto just casually comparing that with like Naruto's childhood and Naruto's suffering is like doing the scenario that I'm suffering about brain. Also, like the new trend is right now for like Sordara having to it not only Sordara having to go through such an extremely lonely childhood, but also having to go through the extreme experience of like having to run away care from Gara, like and even definitely it wouldn't be just like the kids at the playground alone. It would be that it might have been also that the Gara's own siblings as well, like kind of jealous them as well. Even from back then might have been also running away care from Gara. Definitely also Gaara might have had to like go through such painful experience, like even from like siblings as well. So definitely Michael which might have been a factor that might have even led Gaara at that point specifically towards like the playground of like Gaara might have been that desperate out of that fear of loneliness and pain of suffering, especially while even though Naruto didn't have any siblings, there was like while growing up that basically still like definitely while Naruto had like basically Naruto sensei was like for Gaara, it might have been like basically. Okay, so like the new premise is that like while Naruto has his like Hiroka sensei who genuinely love and care about like Naruto, like I'm doing so in Gaara's case, like it might have been that's the extreme opposite the minimum friendly. So in Gaara's case, like I'm doing like Gaara might have still had like absolutely no such figure, like even though Yashamaru is like woman like Yashamaru, whom Gaara might have seen maybe like along the lines of like and Naruto might have seen Saruka and they might be along the lines that back then like that were Gaara might have seen Yashamaru, but in actuality I'm looking like while Saruka is like love and concerns for like Naruto was like genuine like I'm looking like in the case of like Yashamaru like I'm looking like Yashamaru might be like someone who might have definitely been it might have been only due to that extreme poverty or like struggling to that probably might have been due to that mother struggling to feed her family that everything the after might have even taken up such a job to like take care of like Jara definitely might have like a dark might have been the case of the film. So like the case of film just what like Yasamaru might have definitely Jara's God and yet like I'm doing like in the case of Yasamaru might have been totally unlike Furuka. Like in the case of like Yasamaru even though Yasamaru might have felt fiercely genuinely sorry for Jara, like I'm looking like Yasamaru still might have deep down only been hiding that extreme fear that she might have had towards like Jara. It's definitely not there. So like they like Jara's like feeling as well as like those kids that at the playground that Yasamaru might have been no different at all. Might have been like the cases that we know creators. So like Yasamaru deep down might have been having that extreme fear towards Jara, but like Yasamaru might have been trying to like solely to like create her family like I'm doing. Yasamaru might have been desperately trying to hide that from Gaara. It's definitely my preference. That might be the only thing Yasamaru might have been doing. It's definitely not brand. So like even though Yasamaru might have been deep down feeling sorry for Gaara, like I'm looking at that might have definitely not existed of that like absolute strong bond of affection and like basically genuine affection that like Hiruka has towards like Naruto, that Naruto received from Hiruka, that like Gaara might have not actually received from Yasamaru is definitely very different. On top of that, like yet like I'm feeling that Yasamaru might have been that the only like comfort for Gaara till back then. But even that might have been through that Gaara of realizing that basically even Yasamaru was like not different to like the other traits or like the playground or like anybody else or everybody else who's like totally afraid of Gaara, like Yakamaru no different, like Yakamaru is only hiding it. Might be the case and like eventually Gaara totally realizing that eventually at some point is like the scenario they have. So like I'm looking the scenario to be like Gaara at some point uh or hearing like some conversation of like Yakamaru with like someone where like it would be at that point that and for that I would be getting that absolute shocking realization that basically even Yatamaru's like the famous like those and totally scared of like Dara, but within that time was only hiding it to be along the lines of like a realization of what's happening for Chara. It's like the scenario that happened. So like at that point the time of the Chara would be totally feeling that absolute feeling of like betrayal and having been cheated on by that Yashamaru that I'm looking at that race totally at that point happening for Clara and I'm looking at that point that only person in that Dara's like that like might have even been able to like provide that from Dara's point of view might have even been able to like provide even the tiniest bit of comfort for Dara might have been Yashamaru and it's about film so like that Yashamaru as well I'm looking like at that point Dara feeling as it like so they betrayed and cheated Dara by lying to the Dara's and that time and was only that pretending in front of Dara that realizing that such a scenario is what I'm doing, and that when Dara being totally enraged and I'm looking like enraged Dara like totally taking the life of that Yatamaru is like the scenario that I'm doing, and definitely even Kankuro as well as like Temari might have totally like Yasamaru and might have been changed up as this like motherly figure. The situations like due to like situations like I think that basically Gaara's mother had basically like definitely I think that Kansugaga has taken the life of like Gaara's like Gaara and Kankuro and Tamari's mother and basically turns her into like the best and children also like Gaara. So like definitely because of this like so like definitely that since like Kankuro, Tamari and Gaara might have may not have a mother figure in their lives like they might have all been seen like Yakamaru and that motherly figure but like I'm looking like Gaara on that shot and realization that like she was probably lying to Gaara and so we take acting in front of Gaara like I'm thinking that in race Gaara might have like taken that like might have been like the person that might have definitely Yasamaru might have like in that gun in like the past and like, it might have been Gaara that might have taken her life and the other one that shockingly Tamari as well as like Kampuro might have even witnessed that as well. It's definitely one of them which might have also like scarred Tamari as well as Kampuro for like for the rank for even to like the person just the feeling of so like that might have only greatly increased like the fear within like Kankuro and Tamari towards like the younger brother Dada and Igara then way more like playing the scenario that I'm looking for like playing the scenario that I'm looking for. So like good memory from the thing like in Kurigara might have taken back the life of Yashimaru and I'm looking like in Gara's life faction like I'm looking Yashimaru might have been that only person that Gara might have felt that they really had like accepted Gara and had that they had absolutely no fear towards like Gara but like I'm looking like Gara eventually might have had that choking realization that like Yashimaru felt fear of Gara so much and it was so like that also thing that Gara taking her life and I'm looking like at that point I'm looking was like Gara losing that only person in his life that he felt that he had like at that point at that point I was like Chara might have been fed up and it might be through from that point on like Chara's like mindset might have completely changed to like it being like the way it is even to like the person that's definitely might have been like that Chara like act of taking Yachamaro's life which might have happened that might have permanently shaped up that change in that Chara's mindset to basically Gaara probably deciding to like to probably like embrace that fear and basically that everyone had towards like Gaara and basically like in trying to like increase that fear on like the people around him towards like Gaara. Gaara taking such a decision might have happened at that point. From like the point that Gaara might have taken the life of that Yasamaru. Definitely my favorite impression for what might have happened in like the now with me so that definitely one of the emotions that like they say that desperate feeling of acceptance might be like what Jara would be that probably desperately deep down desiring even to like the problems that we went through. But I'm considering that might not be like the case of like the Sanskrit present within Jara. Like it won't be like the case for like the Sanskrit. Like for like the Sanskrit, it will be like the total opposite. Like I'm living like even like the Sanskrit like gaining strength might have happened after like Jara might have according to my memory, might have taken the life of that Yakamaru and might have probably embraced that everyone had that fear towards Jara and Jara once like he had taken the decision to like still and create more consciously instill and create more fear to from that point on to like actually consciously create fear on others from that point on. When Gara might have taken that decision against the spirit within Gara, like its power as well might have increasingly seriously stepping out. So like I'm wondering this why even in like from while competent spirit from that point on even to like the person like while what deep down what Gara genuinely would be like desiring to give that acceptance for people to not fear Gara and to accept Gara the way he is. That this would be what Tara would be desiring, while like the Sanskrit would be desiring the thought of the table to the person to for like Tara to like keep inserting exerting like fear onto like others, definitely one of the revelation. So definitely I'm looking for like in like the fight eventual fight between like Naruto and Gaara, which I'm certainly predicting to happen. Like I'm looking at even though Naruto initially in his like fight against Gaara in the initial phase of that fight, Naruto will be having that fear growing within like Naruto towards like Gaara while fighting up against Gaara. But then like eventually like Naruto at the fight comes to friend and like eventually as like it will be like there will be also like an internal struggle and fight between like the emotions of like the actual Gaara and like the villain stick desires of like the Sanskrit within Gaara subliminal. So like I'm reading Naruto as like the fight between Naruto and Gaara and between essentially Naruto being able to like notice this and being able to like see the true Gaara at that point of like the scenario that like the true Gaara uh, is like only desiring for might be only desiring for just that acceptance alone. Naruto being able to like realize that as like the fight between Gaara and Naruto progressing to a certain extent, it's like the scenario that I'm looking at. And from that point on, of exploring Naruto instantly losing that absolute fear that he will be having towards like Gaara from that point on, like Naruto feeling absolutely no more fear towards like Gaara because like at that point Naruto might have seen like the true genuine Gaara and Naruto at that point will be able to like differentiate like the true Gaara from like the villain's sense because it's like the scenario that has different. So like from that point on, I'm looking like the tide of like the battle seriously changing and like Naruto like seriously slowly like seriously or starting to actually throw for Gaara like the scenario that I'm looking. And once like Naruto will be defeating Gaara, like I'm thinking like Naruto about the Supreme totally would be like making happily a speech is what I'm looking for Naruto would be like telling Gaara where like Naruto will totally saying things along the lines of what Naruto believes would be that like, Naruto as well had been in like the very same case as that of Gaara even from like the childhood would be what Naruto would be believing and I'm looking that Naruto telling to the Gaara and I'm looking like Naruto still managing to like handle Gaara side and able to bring like Naruto like through that speech of Naruto like able to bring like Gaara totally at that point dedicated Gaara at that point would be like shockingly realizing that like Naruto has like absolutely no fear towards not only has no fear towards Gaara at that point but like Naruto has like thoroughly accepted Gaara for its way Gaara is. So like at that point I'm looking like the that finding that and I'm looking that might have been that missing key factor that might have allowed even to the present for like the sensitive to like take control of the actual Gaara is definitely able to do. So like from that point on, I'm looking like Gaara finally that final piece of Naruto would be like the scenario that would be like giving that power and realization to like the actual Gaara and that way allowing Gaara to like take to for like the first time in his life be able to like take control of like the sensitive like the scenario that I'm learning. So like I'm learning from that point, like Gaara, like the actual Gaara stuff is starting to like not fearing like the Sanskrit within him anymore. It's like the realistic Sanskrit within him anymore. It's like the scenario that I'm learning. And that way, like from that point on, like Gaara being like the master of like the Sanskrit and like Gaara basically controlling like the Sanskrit from that point on. It's like the scenario that I'm looking like the and that way like from that point on like the Gaara's like personality like really shifting and basically Gaara turning into like genuinely kind person who would be having that absolute perfect control over his like villainous sense which like even though sense the sense which still would be having its like villainous nature like still it won't be at all able to like handle Gaara at all from that point on because like Gaara will be through that realization Gaara the actual Gaara will be gaining strength to the point of like Gaara easily being able to like control like the Sanskrit and basically make it take the sort of Gaara like the now benefit. So like and that change of Gaara and the being like a permanent change. And so like I think my realization and the different like eventually once like Gaara will be starting to be able to that be able to like control like benefit and not the other way around. Like from that point on, looking like Gaara's like growth in his like strength would be increasing at an even faster pace that we could have until this very point, especially when while being controlled by the Sanskrit, like the growth in Gaara's strength by instilling fear on everyone around him. Like that way, like the growth in Gaara's strength that Gaara might have made uh, through the control of his Sanskrit over the years, like I'm looking like this might be the case, and that strength I'm looking like that growth of strength would be like that rate of growth of strength would be like nowhere will be like usually like the case of being far less when compared to the quick pace in that phase or like a rate in like the growth in that car of front. While Gaara would be taking control of things with them. It's like the interesting scenario that I'm looking at bringing into it. Also, like you know, friends right now that's for like Sasuke and like the past having asked Gaara of that the reasons for like Gaara's fixation on Sasuke. Like I'm when definitely the reason I'm looking to be especially since the Gaara has already revealed that basically subject has like the same eyes as that of Gaara. Like that would be like that eyes of like which like Gaara believes is that that basically is wanting to take like of that like villainous kind of like an intent focusing kind of like uh feeling kind of like eyes just like Gaara feels just like subject's eyes like they like subject having like ultimate goal of like eliminating Brazil account definitely that there will be more to that. It's definitely consideration because like Sasuke, Gaara, and I'm going definitely that Gaara might have noticed that I of like Sasuke. I'm still thinking about the premise that Gaara might have noticed that I of that Sasuke the very same as that of being the very same as that of Gaara all the way back when like the very first time Gaara had made his like appearance in front of like Naruto and Sasuke, especially when the so definitely different that the actuality of that the true reason would be that due to that Gara feeling that not just I being like the same as Gara like Gara might have also felt that absolute lack of fear in like not just I even while being in like Gara often gives like Gara might have been only like while being controlled by like the sense with like Gara might have been like might have been really like changing that to like only enjoy that like fear in a realistic manner to enjoy that fear that he was like instilling onto like the people around him. So like I'm looking like while he saw Satya for like the first time, like I'm looking at that point like since like Naruto as well was like in like the presence of Gaara at that point. Like the first time Gaara had seen them, like I'm looking like at that point, that even Naruto might have had that like kind of like an intimidation just by Gaara's presence alone. Is definitely so like at that point might have been like on top of that Gaara feeling the Gaara personally like select how Gaara has revealed that Gaara feeling that like villains intent in like Sasuke's eyes similar to that of Gaara that on top of that, like I'm looking like Gara might have also the Sanskrit within Gara might have also been able to sense that like even in Gara reference like that they had absolutely no fear towards like Gara. So that as well might have been something that we believe that might have easily frustrated not the actual Gara but like Sanskrit within that the Gara within Gara definitely my because like that it would be like Sanskrit won't be like at all. So far in the Gaara journey, like the Sanskrit won't be like at all that much at all used to like people not fearing like the Gaara and like Sanskrit is definitely my same person. So like that might have totally triggered like the Sanskrit and triggered and frustrated like the Sanskrit things with like that way, creating that active fixation within that Gaara towards like Sasuke and seeing Sasuke as that ultimate target where like Gaara and like where like Gaara and like Sanskrit has to like ensure to like basically also exert and like force that fear onto it's definitely my good premiership. So like the Sanskrit within Gaara might have definitely been this entire time might have been extremely frustrated and disturbed and might definitely not be able to like rest whenever it like whenever it encounters a person like Sasuke like whenever it encounters a person who doesn't have fear towards it like I'm saying it won't be able to like rest. The Sanskrit might not be able to like rest until it ensures to like exert to see to witness like their even through force like Sanskrit being able to like witness like that just target having that fear towards like Sanskrit like until it witness that until like the Sanskrit witness that it won't be able to like trust at all. Definitely one reason. This will be like the main reason for like the fixation towards like subject for Gaara, especially my tutorial version right now. So it's like the clean transition right now as for like in the past like with like Sasuke being right in front of like Itachi and like surrounded by like the eliminated which entirety of the Itachi had like I'm different definitely so that the exact reason as to like why Itachi might have eliminated like the entirety of like the Uchiha clan yet like specifically in the Sasuke alone alive and possibly like since like right now it's revealed that it is Sasuke like Sasuke being there right in front of Itachi, while surrounded by like alien Luciano and like certain this might be something that Itachi might have consciously wanted like Sasuke to like suffer. That's definitely my in a villainous man because like I'm doing like Itachi is like I'm doing like by like the entirety of like the Uchiha clan might have had their ethics and like might have been genuinely good people and might have had like their ethics and everything like in using their sharing and powers and everything like but like Itachi alone might have been different discipline. So like in the case of Itachi, like but like I'm bringing the case of Itachi might have even from a young age, like Itachi might have been exceptionally gifted and talented. Like even without like Itachi having to like put great hard work, like like solely by sheer luck, like Itachi might have been an extremely gifted person individual when it comes to like skills and strength. Like even from a young age, like Itachi Sharingan might have been exceptionally superiorly strong and might have been like unbelievable, like even from Itachi's childhood itself, like unbelievable. Itachi's Sharingan might have been like the strongest in like the entirety of like the Zia clan, especially when preemption. That might have been like the scenario like the master supplement. So like, as Itachi grew up like another like so like as Itachi grew up like Itachi might have been like and Itachi might be like someone who might have been like obsessed with like fighting and basically who might have been like obsessed with like challenges. So like I'm looking like the lack of challenges might have easily go up with Itachi. Definitely while staying in like the GR clan. So like I'm looking like Itachi back when Itachi might have been a child itself like Itachi might have left to like travel across like the world seeking more difficult challenges. Definitely not friendship. So because he might have even back then might have even fought even like a strongest person in like the Uchiha clan and might have easily defeated that person. So like I'm like Jesse might have only gotten both. So like I'm speaking like more serious like challenges like strong fighters like I'm looking like strong ninja fighters like I'm looking like Jesse might have left like the Itachi might have left like the Uchiha clan during Itachi's like childhood might have been what might have happened. So like back then like I'm looking like Satya might have only just been born back then. Definitely not brain so like after leaving like the airline like I'm something like that we might have been seeing travel like through like the world seeing extremely tough challenges and I might have got all sorts of like expertise from fighters, ninja fighters, and might have that way eventually lag made it to like the version of game one of like the legendary ninjas might have been what might happen a little was quickly on the so, like at that point I'm thinking maybe already Orochimaru might have been might have even before Itachi Orochimaru might have made it to like the position of being one of like the legendary ninjas. So like I'm thinking like all of a sudden, like my Orochimaru had found out that basically this like person from like the mysterious person from like the Uchiha clan has already made it to becoming like a legendary ninja, like and even like and definitely Itachi might have even made it at like an age that was like far younger than that of like Orochimaru as well. Definitely wondering, so like this might have created that atmosphere and jealousy and discomfort within like Vinci kind of like a discomfort within like Orochimaru and like Orochimaru might have wanted to like assert this like dominance as like the strongest ninja weapon or like not as like the strongest ninja but like I'm looking like as like him being like the strongest legendary ninja like he wanted that title because like until Itachi might have gotten to like the position of becoming like the legendary ninja like I'm looking like it might have been Orochimaru that might have been known across like the world as like the strongest legendary ninja definitely not relation so like I'm looking like once like Itachi also became like this like legendary ninja like at that point I'm looking like the Orochimaru might have felt that discomfort and lack of frustration might have once again wanted to like ensure to that uh, to like basically make it clear to that vendor about that Orochimaru is like the strongest laboratory ninja by fighting off against Itachi. The female friend. So like I'm looking even that system pass like I'm looking like maybe like Gaara as well might have been one of like, the legendary ninjas, but like I'm bringing the system pass that Orochimaru might have fought off and defeated Jiraiya in like that system past and might have that way like that way might have had the name that basically that Orochimaru is not just another legendary ninja but like it's like the strongest among like the legendary ninja. Definitely another impression. So that this would be around the time when like I'm like Itachi might have met to the both of become a legendary ninja definitely correct. Orochimaru might have definitely wanted to like assert that dominance and that way Orochimaru might have been Orochimaru that might have searched for Itachi and finally might have found Itachi. So like Itachi on one side it might have been like Itachi he might have been desperately seeking like difficult challenges and basically that might be like the only thing that might excite Itachi to be able to so like tough ninja fighters like might have been just really what Itachi might have been seeking. So like that Itachi on one side and basically Orochimaru on the other side who might have been desperate to basically uh, to seize that position once again and let the world know that Orochimaru is like the moment legendary ninja. So like that fight between that Orochimaru and Itachi might have definitely also that in like Orochimaru embarrassingly losing to that Itachi might have been what might have happened. So like I'm looking like the barely like injured Orochimaru. Like it might have been a scenario where like Orochimaru using all of his strength might have not even been able to like not only might have gotten defeated but might have not even been able to like regardless of the tricks Orochimaru might have used to like retreat and escape like even all that might have failed uh, due to like it has been like it's superior strength and skills the and so like as like Orochimaru might have felt that his like face is sealed and he would be like about to die by the hands of like Itachi. Like at that very last second might be when like Itachi might have totally lost interest and might have like mocked Orochimaru and like maybe might have even said head of the lines as if like Orochimaru is not even deserving of like the title of as like one of the intelligent people. Yeah, Orochimaru is not even in like the same like level as that of Itachi will be along the lines and because like Itachi might have never seen this manner like might have mocked Orochimaru and just walked away while leaving Orochimaru alive. In that absolute embarrassment, it's like what might have happened in like the past, especially in Andhra. So like since then, like I'm doing like that absolute grudge might have been formed within like Orochimaru, and that absolute war might have been formed within Orochimaru to like definitely get back on Itachi, definitely eventually to like surpass Itachi, and to also like villainously get revenge by like ensuring a suffering death for like Itachi might have been what Orochimaru back then might have been in his mind. Even back then, it's new. So like I mean, like it might be after this that like that he might have been like even regardless of traveling like, the world, like that he might have so those achieved might have fought like all sorts of like strong ninjas. Like I'm still there might all of them might have not been able to like provide that absolute excitement of like that absolute strength in that fight of like a challenge that he might have necessarily wanted. So like I would like then it has he might have it might be then that I'm like even after like defeating all tomorrow that it has he might have so while it has he might have been once again feeling extremely bored like and unexcited like it might be at that point that he might have and I was it might be at that point that like it has he might have all of a sudden like remembered about like Sasuke. Just like younger brother Sasuke who also say who might have been only David while it has he like the Simba might have left like like the Uchiha clan back when like that it might have been inside, especially when the so like so that like I'm like Itachi might have Sophie straight away to that like head back to that the Uchiha clan and Itachi might have like definitely because like I'm doing with like Itachi desperately seeking that epic challenge like Itachi might have willingly sort of share as like that person who might be at least able to like who might as Sasuke's younger brother as that person like seems like to like them being brothers like that, you might have had that high expectation for like Sasuke being able to like provide that absolute exciting and challenging fight for Itachi in like the future. So like I'm looking to create that absolute race within like Sasuke in a conscious and realistic manner. Like I'm like Itachi might have like thinking out of the blue one day might have showed up to like to see her plan. And I'm remembering at that point like remembering that Sasuke's parents might not only recognize Itachi and then remembering that at that point, like Sasuke as well might have only Sasuke's parents might have told like the young Sasuke that like look at that you're like photo brother. So like at that point, like Sasuke might have been so happy to like see Itachi, but like I'm doing it would might have been at that point that Itachi might have villains to be started like straight away attacking every and eliminating like without any step like that he might have straight away start attacking and eliminating everyone in like the clan in front of Sasuke, while Sasuke as well as like that is fast also were wanting to like the scenario that that might have been such an extreme suffering and shock to like Itachi, not only to his parents but also to like Sasuke as well. Definitely remember to like Sasuke might have seen as like Itachi was like as like Itachi's parents was like might have been desperately at that point begging Itachi like stop but like Itachi might have definitely without even uh, without as if like that you didn't even care or like that you might have straightaway kept ignoring them and might have straightaway continued on eliminating each and every single one of the two and probably might have shockingly seen the and but like then like after like eliminating everybody else in like the and like that you might have straightaway uh, showed up in front of like Sasuke's parents as well and stood in front of like Sasuke's parents and then like that he like right in front of Sasuke while like another Sasuke might have been for Sasuke young Sasuke might have been like absolutely in tears and begging Itachi to like calling him like big brother like to not do it like this to go like Itachi at that point like might have in an extremely villain manner might have like taken the light of like subject parents and that point is like the scenario that I was saying, and like they might like suffering that as well in front of like an extremely shock and traumatized subject like the scenario that I was saying. And then like another difference of subject that might be like there are people that like last of like the year plan that like it has been might have eliminated Stephen prevention and like it has been might have that and then it has he might have that turned back and he really stepped away and might have been like walked away and like right before leaving the airline like with like only like the shock and traumatized and steering Sasuke alone like remaining like Amazon that he might have turned back and like spoke to like Sasuke. Yeah, that basically if Sasuke wants revenge on Itachi, like basically if Sasuke wants to like get revenge, like basically then get stronger and basically get stronger and get to my level of strength so that like if Sasuke wants to get revenge and basically Itachi might have straight away left. Itachi might have said to like Sasuke and straight away left. And this would all be to like especially with that absolute villainous intent of like Itachi to like basically object the crazy Itachi to like get that absolute exciting and challenging fight out of like Sasuke since like Sasuke is like Itachi's brother. That's definitely my brain. So that this might have been what might have happened, and this definitely my premise, and this might be like the reason for like it has in like that system of like eliminating like the entirety of like of their lives while leaving Sasuke alone, like alive. It's definitely my very impression. Okay, so like the new impression right now for like Sasuke right now, thinking about like Gaara's piece to like Sasuke from like the past about how I'm being into like life and basically Sasuke even think of it as like I'm still like I'm going definitely Sasuke right now is the person who will probably a change purpose, especially when friend because and solely it will be due to that 1 month, 1 whole month of that training that he would have gone Sasuke. Definitely I'm like it to be totally an unrevealed scenario where like what might have actually happened during that whole 1 month training that Kakashi might have given Sasuke to definitely Kakashi might have that absolute like conscious intent that Kakashi might have seen that it's like Kakashi might have been able to like easily able to like easily might have only figured Sasuke in a thorough manner and might have figured that's how much Sasuke was like totally uh Sasuke's mind was like totally while it had like that absolute genuine goodness within its like solely like it has like how much that good heart and mind of like Sasuke has been like has brought a character even from that like the past solely with like Itachi. So like that might have been like the biggest factor, biggest like important thing for like Katashi to like change and make Sasuke realize that it was a wrong what like Sasuke to deciding was to like take Itachi that was like absolutely wrong and basically about like to make Sasuke be aware about this like current mind definitely like might have been the ultimate goal of Kakashi during that 1 month training is definitely my friend. So like even while Kakashi might have strengthened up Sasuke and given him also the training to like increase Sasuke's strength, like I'm doing like way more than that, like what Kakashi might have done in that 1 month training that Kakashi might have given to like Sasuke before like students and might have been to like totally seriously make increasing the awareness within like Sasuke, connecting to like Sasuke's sort of mind and that way to like increase like Sasuke's will so that like and make it like a whole lot stronger. This might have been like the main focus of like where like that I think might have given that training to like Sasuke for like the entire of like that whole month. And basically that way to like toughen up Sasuke to like the point of where like even Orochi Marus like Mark would have like seriously struggled to like take off Sasuke and control Sasuke again. It's definitely not very much so definitely this would be that unreal thing which I'm different might not actually happen during that post 1 month training of that where like Kakashi might have used that Sasuke. It's definitely not the reason that part of this training like the things Kakashi might have taught Sasuke and told Sasuke might have been that basically that like it's in actuality like Sasuke like it's not like that absolute revenge by taking the life of like Itachi that like Sasuke is like actually desiring that basically that Sasuke needs to be aware that it's like the unknown that it might definitely because like even to the person Sasuke would be like totally having absolutely no clue at all as like why this brother Itachi did that like of like that acts of like basically eliminating like the entirety of like his own Tsuchiha plan as well as like definitely Itachi would have also taken the life of like Sasuke's parents as well right in front of Sasuke's definitely also. So like I feel like why exactly Itachi did that like I believe that that uncertainty of that like unknown, like about like that extreme frustration and disturbance within Sasuke would be solely due to like Sasuke not being able to like know the truth as well as why exactly is did all that. Basically, this would be that only thing that like Sasuke would be actually desperate for. Wouldn't be revenge, but like it would be that absolute desire to like know that truth that like might have made like that might be causing that that would definitely be causing that frustration and disturbance within like Sasuke. Uh, and like that absolute desire for like power that Sasuke seeking that would be in actuality will be all due to this so that like Sasuke would be one day able to like uh, and this might be along the lines like Kakashi might have told Sasuke that this is like the truth like the truth about like what Sasuke is truly desiring about which that even Sasuke is not aware of. Be along the lines like Kakashi might have told Sasuke that like the truth that like Sasuke is seeking and it's not an elimination of like getting a revenge or like eliminating Itachi that like Chuck is like actually desiring and seeking would be along the line like Kakashi might have brought that awareness to like Sasuke might have been what might have happened back during that 1 month training was definitely no so like Sasuke at that point might have probably been blown away by like Kakashi's like teaching and like so things that Kakashi might have told to like Sasuke that like I'm feeling at that point like I'm feeling deep down Sasuke might have been able to like resonate with like the things Kakashi said as it being like that absolute truth within Sasuke. So definitely was a relation. So like I'm feeling like what Kakashi might have told Sasuke at that point would be to like definitely to like not let go of that code to like fight off against Itachi and defeat Itachi, but definitely not like Kakashi might have told Sasuke to like definitely not eliminate Itachi or like to not keep like any more of that like extreme dislike towards like Itachi, but like to totally see Itachi as this like search or like quest towards like uncovering and finding that absolute truth that he seeks. So like I'm saying so like Kakashi might have told Sasuke that like uh that like Sasuke has to like get a whole lot stronger and definitely has to continue with this goal to like fight off against Itachi, but like while fighting off against like Itachi, that Sasuke shouldn't be getting controlled by his lag. Uh, uh, but by then like Sasuke should like totally overcome his like grudge and dislike towards and anger towards like Itachi and basically convert that to like basically that absolute control strength and like absolute strong will of Sasuke and like to fight Itachi in like the future to definitely like continue with this like Sasuke's decision to like eventually and goal to the ultimate goal to like fight Itachi but like while fighting Itachi to like fight Itachi with that absolute control and absolute will, control over his like absolute will. And Takashi might also want Sasuke that like in that fight against Itachi, definitely Itachi might definitely try to like provoke Sasuke and to totally create back that grudge and desire to get revenge on Itachi by like Itachi like mentioning about like Itachi like, of all the suffering Itachi has caused Sasuke, but like to not for Sasuke to like not fall for it and hold on to like Sasuke's will for containing that absolute truth that lies within Sasuke, which is that absolute the for that absolute force to find out that absolute force. So like Itachi might have told Sasuke to like train hard and get stronger and one day face Itachi and fight and defeat or and defeat Itachi and then to get the truth and get like to not take Itachi's life and to not have any dislike towards Itachi but to like then after defeating Itachi to like force out the truth out of like Itachi. This might have been what like Itachi might have told Sasuke and might have brought that absolute awareness towards like Sasuke during that whole 1 month training that Kakashi might have given Sasuke. You know, that way, like, even after that 1 month training, like Sasuke's like will might have been like the strength of Sasuke's will be that 20% would be on like a whole another different level that I'm different definitely even right now while like when Sasuke's current fight against Gaara while Gaara is like totally saying all this speech about like the intent to like take and the person's life and about grudge and like desire to like get revenge. Basically, even while Sasuke is like remembering. So like my impression is that like even while Gaara says all this right now to like Sasuke, like I'm doing definitely naturally Sasuke might not even getting not even remotely affected by anything or even remotely getting influenced or right now in the present after like Kakashi training that yeah, right now with his like kind of strong will won't be even remotely getting influenced or affected at all by everything Gaara like telling Sasuke about like revenge and everything. And definitely like the only thing in the Sasuke's mind right now would be like just like Gaara as like an opponent that basically is like Sasuke right now because the friend will be totally seeing like along things along the lines without uh having any race like or like feeling of revenge or anything like without any of that like the only thing Sasuke will be going through Sasuke's mind right now would be only that basically since like Itachi is like Sasuke's ultimate goal to like fight and defeat Itachi is like Sasuke's ultimate goal. So like if for Sasuke who has such a high goal of like fighting and defeating someone as strong as Itachi, if like Sasuke right now is like struggling against like Gaara, basically like how can Sasuke even be able to like eventually fight off against Itachi with like Sasuke right now like the person was like struggling against like someone of even like the level of strength of that of Gaara would be along the line like Sasuke right now would be thinking in actuality and would be the only thing that would be going through like Sasuke's mind right now. So like even while Gaara is right now trying his like absolute best to like totally spread like the corrupt mind of like Gaara to that absolute interest to like take opponent's life to Sasuke. Like I'm even right now, I'm like Aaron really trying to like put that into like Sasuke still empowering Sasuke's mind and Sasuke will be totally resistant to that. And I'm just like while right now, while like the current fight between like Sasuke and Gaara and the different like Gaara would be totally fighting Sasuke with that absolute intent to like totally not only eliminate Sasuke, but like right before eliminating Sasuke to like for Gaara to witness Sasuke being consumed by that absolute fear towards like Gaara and sense and then for like Gaara to like eliminate Sasuke and assert that dominance would be like along the lines of like a villainistic way in which like the Sand Spirit would and Gaara would be right now singing. It's definitely my friend. So like Gaara would be right now fighting definitely since like Gaara right now fighting off against like Sasuke with that absolute intent to take Sasuke's life in on the contrary. Sasuke right now while fighting off against Gaara won't be like fighting against Gaara with like with no intention at all to like take Gaara to like but like the only thing in like Sasuke's mind would be to like okay to complete his like to next time fight against like Gaara which was interrupted due to like the attack that the Sand Village and the Crown Village. So like I'm saying like in the Gaara in the Sasuke's mind like his intention would be only to like assert dominance and basically to prove to himself that basically that like Sasuke is like actually worthy of his like goal of like fighting and defeating Itachi by like right now like the person like fighting and or scoring and defeating Gaara. This would be like the only thing in that and that way to like also that way for like Sasuke to like complete like the twin exam and that way for like Sasuke to like also feel that he has currently reached the level of being qualified to be even called a Chunin. That he has reached like the level of like a Chunin ninja to like Sasuke for Sasuke to like prove all this to like himself alone can be the sole reason for like behind like Sasuke's current while Sasuke will be right now fighting up against just like right now fighting up against Gaara. This would be like the only thing in like Sasuke's mind. Definitely my friend. So like this is my work very much. Okay, so like the film of transition right now, first one like Sasuke right now feeling as like the reason for like the leaving Sasuke alone and I think solely just like him like I'm considering definitely Sasuke would be like totally wrong right now. Definitely consider the one which like Sasuke won't be aware of definitely consider so like the actual intent of like Itachi eliminating like the entirety of like the Uchiha clan while leaving Sasuke alone alive. I'm still thinking about the solution would be definitely due to like Itachi desperately thirsting for an exciting and challenging fight against like Sasuke because like Itachi might have fought all sorts of exceptionally strong ninja warriors and they might have all pointed Itachi due to like Itachi to like exceptional superior strength. Definitely my interest to like Itachi would be seeing Sasuke as that key ninja even of be seeing Sasuke as like that absolute potential future like opponent ninja warrior opponent for like Itachi that like through which like Itachi would be like able to like achieve this goal of being able to like get that absolutely satisfying and exciting and absolutely challenging fight and entertaining fight. This is what would be like the sole reason for like Itachi like eliminating like the entire physical plans while leaving Sasuke alone alive. Might be like the actual reasons is definitely about which like Sasuke would be is definitely my reason and about which like Sasuke would be like totally unaware of like the presence definitely also my reason. So like even while Sasuke right now what he believes that like the reason would be like that of guilt for like Itachi leaving Sasuke alone. Like I'm thinking like that he still definitely since like Sasuke is not sure of it, definitely deep down like Sasuke would be like definitely Sasuke would be desperate to like well Sasuke says that it's good like I'm doing Sasuke with this kid desperate to confirm that to confirm what Sasuke believes is like the reason for like Itachi leaving Sasuke like by eventually fighting off against like Itachi and defeating Itachi and like forcing out the force out of Itachi himself. Like Sasuke was really like fully that that lack of clarity truth in that truth that actual absolute reason as to like why Itachi did that would be like what in the person like after like Kakashi's like training to like Sasuke like I'm going to be only that alone that like Sasuke would be like desperate for and Sasuke would be aware of that it's only truth, that absolute truth alone that like Shark is like genuinely seeking the truth for that reason. It's definitely my personal theory and question right. What is the like movement prediction right now for like with like about like Sasuke's current Chidori attack that Sasuke is like about 11 that Gaara like I'm definitely not only Sasuke landing that appearing in like in the landing that like Chidori attack on Gaara but like I'm doing that attack totally suddenly or for Gaara and like even with like Gaara's like having that sense of transformation of like Sasuke Chidori right now would be like so extremely intense like and way more stronger than like the Chidori Sasuke had used against like Gaara during like the June exams, the new approach and that this present Chidori I'm bring to be far stronger and that I'm bring like totally or for even like the present Gaara, especially in the invention and like that resulting in like Gaara going through that extreme pain and suffering due to like the intensity of like the Chidori attack. And I'm like it will be at that point that I'm like while Gaara will be like getting awkward, I'm like it will be that Sanskrit that will be like due to that extreme rage and frustration towards like Sasuke, like I'm looking at the Sanskrit like breaking its limitations and still like I'm doing it to be most likely while Gaara will be getting awkward and some going through the suffering through like the Chidori attack of like Sasuke that I'm looking like even though initially I'm looking like Gaara would be like totally suffering and would be in pain that I'm looking like while Sasuke would be continuing on while pushing that Chidori first up into that Gaara. I'm looking like at that point is when I'm looking like the Sanskrit like totally fighting back and retaliating by that, totally breaking all limits and like turning into like that absolute full transformation form of the scenario that I'm in that way. Like I'm looking like as like Sasuke would be like pushing through with like that Chidori, like I'm looking like most likely I'm looking maybe that being then that I'm looking like the Sanskrit like taking full absolute control and basically that Gaara that at that point that basically surviving that Chidori attack by that basically turning into that the giant Sanskrit form of Gaara. That main giant Sanskrit form transformation of like Gaara happening during that point is like the initial scenario that I'm looking bring up right now in the game. Okay, so like looking at the brain right now, so like another possibility that I'm looking for like right now for like as like Plato is trying to like pull out like the soul of like Orochimaru, like another definitely I'm setting remember question that like the Orochimaru like next soul like like Orochimaru will be like intensifying like the uh the intensity of like Orochimaru's like snake sword with like what little energy that Orochimaru will be having left and like simply like the so like I'm doing that way like Sartori is like I'm delivering the scenario to be like still Sartori like almost about to like pull off and detach away like the soul of Orochimaru from Orochimaru's body, but like at that very last second I'm like due to like Sartori's like extreme old age and coupled with like the exhaustion as well as like Sartori's injuries and everything and coupled with like Orochimaru even intensifying like the snake sword's power like the black but what little energy that Orochimaru will be having that like collectively all this like adding up and basically resulting in like Sasori like body giving up one Sasori and basically that way Sasori collapsing and like dying is like the scenario that I'm looking at and straight away like I'm looking like the and I'm looking most likely straight away like the moment Sasori will be dying I'm looking like the summoning spirits of like Sasori that monkey as well I'm looking most likely dying sentence so also like about that I'm looking so like I'm looking maybe in like the case of like the summoning spirit like there might be such a thing where like as long as like the maybe like there will be this like contract that will be signed between like the owner and like the summoning spirit where like I'm able like as it will be like such a manner that like if the summon spirit, as long as like the owner keeps like the summon spirit, like it will be like tied to like the owner, and unless like the owner cuts off and even for like the owner like send back like the summon spirit back to like the it's like on realm like underneath the owner might have to like perform some sort of like a specific duty to that do that by cutting off the ties between like the owner and like the summoning spirit. So as long as like the owner doesn't do that, like I'm something like the summon spirit will be like only connected and attached to like the owner by this like invisible threat kind of like a thing. So like I'm saying that once like the owner Naruto will like ends up like collapsing and get eliminated and dies like I'm saying like at that such a scenario and at that point simultaneously like the monkey summoning gets of like Sasuke as well like straight away ending up dying is like the scenario that I was going. And at that point, I was thinking like the Grim Reaper would be like in a villainous and scary manner, like the Grim Reaper would be at that point like he'd be extending its arms, trying to like take out like Sasuke's soul. And basically, at that point, I was trying like Orochimaru, like basically, and it's like Sasuke's the straight away like Orochimaru's soul would be like run back to like Orochimaru. So like at that point, why like the Grim Reaper, like the scary Grim Reaper would be like or constantly think that like it's about to get like the souls of like not only Sartori but also like the souls of like the first and second Hokage that like feel the thing like Sartori through like Sartori's like things to like I'm definitely should like visiting Reaper at that point I'm definitely would be thinking that like it would be about to get those three souls at like instantly. So as the Grim Reaper would be extending his arms, like I'm looking like at that point I'm delivering the scenario to be like as of like another possibility that I'm delivering for like at that point for like surprisingly that Orochimaru mainly using would be like Orochimaru would be like definitely won't be just like even though Orochimaru would be intimidated by like the Grim Reaper, still Orochimaru wouldn't be just like willing to like basically he just casually hand over like the source of like the first as well as second Hokage as well as like Hokage. So like Orochimaru has that ultimate goal to be like the ultimate individual. So certainly Orochimaru definitely would be having that ultimate goal to be strong as like by gaining all the knowledge as well as all skill as well as all the jutsu attacks and everything like that for all for for Orochimaru to be like the ultimate individual that Orochimaru would need like all sorts of powers. So like I'm putting it that way. And Orochimaru went only obsessed with that goal. So like Orochimaru won't even though Orochimaru is scared of the living but Orochimaru won't be like willing to just actually hand over like the source those three souls contained within like Sarko's body, like just like that, say like the Grim Reaper is like a scenario that I'm looking. So like as the strategy that Orochimaru should be using, I'm looking like Orochimaru straight away with like that absolute serious ways, like ordering those four henchmen, some village henchmen of Orochimaru, who's like standing outside that barrier where like Sarkozy and Orochimaru had fought off against. Like I'm doing at that point, so I'm doing Orochimaru with like that absolute serious ways, like giving the order to like those for ninja henchmen of like Orochimaru to like straight away attack like to launch ninja attack at like the Grim Reaper. So like those four ninjas like simultaneously at that point would be like using some sort of like a ninja team kind of like some sort of like an attack that like the Grim Reaper at that point. Even though them as well would be like extremely intimidated by like the Grim Reaper and definitely they would be even more intimidated by Orochimaru because like of like them having to like up of this war like then have like run back to like Orochimaru and like sound it. So definitely like they would be scared because like they would think that usually if they don't listen to like Orochimaru right now then Orochimaru will just straight away only eliminating them, but like also would be using the suffering stuff. So like I'm doing that resulting in like and since there are four of them, I'm suffering like a sense only hitting all confident damage those four ninjas like as listening to like for Orochimaru or then like attacking like the Grim Reaper at that point as like the Grim Reaper would be trying to like take the resource contained in the start of its body. So like at that point, I'm saying that quickly as like those four ninja henchmen of Orochimaru will be attacking the Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper is only getting distracted. And I'm looking like the Grim Reaper that way, like straight away getting enraged and straight away attacking those four like ninja henchmen of like some village ninja henchmen of Orochimaru, like the scenario that I'm playing. And like distraction created within like the Grim Reaper. I'm looking that exactly will be Orochimaru strategy to like quickly scale back like the source, not only like the source contained within like Sarkovic, but also like Sarkovic body as well. So like Orochimaru at that point is quickly like using his like a reanimation jutsu and like bringing out like a coffin and basically quickly stealing away like the body of like Sartobi along with like the swords, three swords of like the first and second Hokage as well as Sartobi contained within like Sartobi's body like uh, all this like Orochimaru quickly stealing and sealing it into like another pocket of through the reanimation loop and Orochimaru quickly running away from there is like so escaping from that location like the scenario that everything. So like Orochimaru will be totally knowing what's coming should be like the wrath of like the ultimate wrath of like the Grim Reaper on seeing like Orochimaru get stealing like the soul. So like I'm from Orochimaru straight away quickly like sailing himself and straight away scaling up quickly stealing like the three souls and at that point I was doing like those for some relation of Orochimaru would be totally shocked at like Orochimaru's betrayal on that and I was like straight away like then he will be like that absolute scare will be looking at like Kirin Reaper who would be like extremely enraged to no limits at that point and I'm thinking straight away the Kirin Reaper like totally straight away with like a single strike, like I'm something like the grim and in race grim straight away taking the life of like all four of like that and those combination ninjas henchmen of like Orochimaru and straight away instantly stealing all four of like their souls. Forcefully taking and stealing like all four of like their souls like the Grim Reaper taking that. Yet like the Grim Reaper would be extremely enraged with like Orochimaru because like even the four souls of like those like four ninja henchmen of like Orochimaru would be like their sword even combined would be having nowhere near like the levels of intensity of like power of strength when compared to like even a single soul of like Sarkovic. It's definitely a military ambition. So like definitely I'm looking like even compared to like a single soul of neither Sarkovic or like the first or like the second of that is definitely a military ambition. So like definitely the Grim Reaper out of that extreme frustration like will be extremely enraged within like Orochimaru, but still I'm within like the Grim Reaper would be having to like go back to won't be able to like stay in like the real world more than that period of time with like the scenario that I was going to like it will be time for like the Grim Reaper. The time would be up for like the Grim Reaper to like return back to like Grim Reaper real so like I'm looking in that way like the Grim Reaper returning back and extremely enraged and frustrated Grim Reaper while like staring at like Orochimaru uh, from a distance, like trying to like escape. And I'm looking like Orochimaru as well, as, like he's running away and reaching for the distance, like I'm looking like Orochimaru turning back and looking at like looking back towards like Grim Reaper. At that point, like Orochimaru is clearly seeing like an extremely enraged and intimidating Grim Reaper. That absolute rage, like basically staring at Orochimaru while being pulled into back into like the Grim Reaper real, like the scenario that I'm looking. So like that way, at that point, like Orochimaru will basically thinking that like he's like an absolute and at that point, I was looking like Orochimaru villainous feeling absolutely satisfied and curious and thinking as it like he's like the absolute genius is like the scenario that I was looking and with that such a villainous smile like Orochimaru like escaping from that area, it's like the scenario that I'm looking at. Uh, and then like I'm doing like eventually totally Orochimaru and then without much great delay, I'm looking like Orochimaru would be running into like the next step obstacle and that would definitely be Jiraiya. It's definitely like Angels and Avitara because of the again of the guys. And Avitara maybe in that fight against Jiraiya, like Jiraiya not being able to like so much at all. And like the fight quickly being over with like due to like Orochimaru's like villain's strategy, which would be like while Jiraiya would be like would be like finding Orochimaru and to be trying to like fight out against like Orochimaru straight away most likely once again bring using like the reanimation vehicle and bring out this time bringing out like straight away like Sartobi and it would just be like the original Sartobi strength alone that Sartobi would be pursuing at that point but like since like Sartobi will be also containing like souls of like the first as well as like the second one within Sartobi at that along like Sartobi souls contained within like Sartobi's body like I'm saying like or Simara at that point the reanimation due to like controlling Sartobi like precisely so that like basically Sartobi would be able to like not only use like Sartobi's own power but also with like the source of like the strength like get Sartobi like the controls Sartobi like basically not only using his own jutsu but also simultaneously being able to like, use like the jutsu or like the powerful jutsu of like the first captain of the second Okage. And that way like I'm doing Jiraiya would be like shocked at seeing like Sartobi in like Orochimaru controlling Sasori and like Jiraiya being in like extreme situation where Jiraiya would be having to fight up against like Sasori that way like and definitely deep down Jiraiya even though Jiraiya won't be showing it like Jiraiya deep down will be having that absolute respect and like great bond towards like Sasori just definitely a membership so like definitely that way like Jiraiya not being able to like too much at all against like Tarkov is like the scenario that I'm doing. And Orochimaru without much grace struggle at all, like Orochimaru maybe even like that way like being defeating Jiraiya using Tarkov and this is Orochimaru escaping is like preventing for the scenario that I'm doing. There is like the premium brands right now for like Gaara right now, like transforming to sensitive transform like two state on top of like a single arm as well. Like I'm looking right now in this transformation of Gaara as well. Like I'm looking like even with like the Q state of Gaara, that's the transform Q state of Gaara as well. I'm looking like Sasuke still, even though Sasuke will be like initially struggling, still I'm looking like Sasuke eventually managing to like still overpower and inflict more wounds and injuries, even stronger injuries to Gaara, even in this form of Gaara as well, like the scenario that I'm trying. So like, and I'm looking like Sasuke would be, but like I'm looking Sasuke would be having the like to like absolute everything. It will have a bit of like Sasuke's strength, while simultaneously ensuring to like keep and prevent from accessing like from allowing like Orochimaru's like mark to like take over Sasuke by holding on to like Sasuke's strong will. But bring like Sasuke definitely in this like current fight against Gaara, definitely Sasuke still won't be like letting down Kakashi like the scenario that I'm putting and Sasuke definitely would be like holding on to his like strong will which would be like definitely trained and gotten fiercely strong by Kakashi. That will of like Sasuke. I'm looking like even though I'm definitely trying Sasuke to like eventually lose and get defeated by Gaara, I'm looking like to that very end like I'm looking like Sasuke will be holding on to his like strong will and not allowing like Orochimaru's like not to take over Sasuke, like the scenario that happens. So like even though Sasuke would be like struggling against Gaara and like Gaara would be like doing like absolute everything to like totally corrupt like the mind of like Sasuke and Sasuke I'm looking at that point that maybe even slightly feeling tempted to like basically and looking at like the mark thinking of like the mark on his like everything like basically about like accessing that absolute power that's like present within Sasuke that like if Sasuke allows like just set aside like Sasuke's will and allows that mark to take over Sasuke, then like Sasuke would be able to like easily defeat Gaara would be around the line Sasuke would be thinking. But like I'm looking like that then I'm definitely such a scenario, but like I'm looking even before that such a scenario I'm looking like Sasuke while using his like current full strength like I'm looking Sasuke will be defeating even like the current transformation of Gaara with like a single arm and Gaara also growing a tail as well. I'm looking still Sasuke would be defeating that with like all of the strength that they will be defeating that transformation of Zara as well. Certainly not different. But like I'm going to buy that like Sasuke will be so badly injured. And I'm going to once like Sasuke will be defeating that transformation of like Zara, it will be at that point. I'm only predicting that right now because like only there will be like a total of like three phases until in like the present situation like Gara like would be transforming into its like final giant transfit form, it's like the fully transformed giant transfit form is getting already. So like right now after like the current tail transformation of that Gara, like the very next transformation of Gara that will be happening eventually will be like the actual full giant transfit transformation is getting already. And at that point is when I was going like Sasuke would be like totally outmatched, totally outmatched, and Sasuke will be like totally struggling to like even survive against like Gaara or Williams like and I was it would be Takashi's training that Takashi might have given to that she might have given even according to connecting to like strengthening of his will might have been like so extremely like such with like so much passion that Takashi passion and purpose that like Takashi might have given that training to that Sasuke that like it would be only at that point but Gaara would be like finally transforming into like full giant transform form and like Sasuke would be so exhausted at that point and badly injured at that point and won't be even having the strength to like attack back and will be having like thoroughly keeping on the and by Sasuke at that point will be like struggling to even dodge like the giant and spirit like attack like I'm doing it would be and that way like Sasuke would be feeling that as if he's on like the verge of like dying by the hands of like the giant and spirit form of Zara. So it's only at that point that I'm looking like even like the slightest switch of temptation might happen certain like Sasuke to like basically to set aside his will and like use like all that immense power like contained within that mark of Orochimaru or Sasuke. Yet like I'm looking like still Sasuke totally snapping out of it without much related but I'm looking snapping Sasuke totally snapping out of that temptation and basically that resulting in like basically Gaara totally cornering Sasuke and basically like Gaara would be able to take Sasuke's like even at that very last second like Sasuke would be that probably at that point would be having fixed in his mind that there's no escape at this point that basically definitely Gaara and this would would be definitely the end of the road for Sasuke, and like basically Sasuke won't be able to like achieve the goal and like find out the truth as to like the reason for like to like exactly why like Itachi had like eliminated the Uchiha clan and left Sasuke alive. Like I'm Sasuke able to think like Kakashi training being so exceptional that Sasuke would be still holding on to his will and prioritizing Sasuke's will even over like giving up Sasuke's ultimate goal as well, like the scenario. And that way Sasuke will be only feeling as if like the fate is real and that like Sasuke is like right now about to die by the hands of like the giant and fit form of Gaara. And it will be at that point that Sasuke will be like totally at that very last second will be closing his eyes. But like I'm saying, it will be at that point that I'm looking like Sasuke or something like noticing the attack not landing on Sasuke and like when Sasuke opens his eyes, that's like the scenario that I'm doing. Sasuke will be shocked to see like the Gamuto attack for Naruto. With like Naruto sitting on top of like the door, like really stopping that like attack of like Gaara. Like change the scenario that I'm delivering about the image. Also definitely on brainstorm right now is definitely for like the current firefall to of like Sasuke. Definitely I'm bring not even remotely even affecting like Gaara right now. It's like the scenario where I'm looking like it will be only facing Gaara, especially because of like and Gaara's like power element itself being that of sand. Like I'm looking like the sand would be like probably be easily be able to like resist all that fire from that fireball attack like the scenario that I'm looking. Definitely that attack not even facing Gaara like scenario that I'm and I'm looking for like at that point itself, I'm looking for that itself would be what like the choice of like the safety like uses like firewall to itself would be what I'm looking for making it currently even possible for like Jara to straight away charge ahead without being faced by like fireball to and like I'm looking for scenario to be like Jara straight away at that point like landing is like extremely dangerous and powerful attack on like Sasuke. So like I'm doing Sasuke right now taking his like first major serious injury from Gaara's like danger attack to like I'm doing like that serious wound and serious injury that I'm doing. That's the very first attack of Gaara itself that will be landing on Sasuke right now itself. It's like the scenario right now, it's like the scenario that I'm doing. And if that itself I'm looking for next Sasuke will be like simply going to extreme pain because like that will be how extremely serious like the injuries will be because of like that intense power of like Gaara's attack but like just his like barely transformed that form itself right now. It's definitely a scenario that I'm right. Because like the new trends right now for like in like the public attack having bonds of the to like not use lecture or advice and telling him nothing good will come out of it, especially in such cases. Like I'm definitely that especially will be definitely due to like such having like the mark of like or a mark on such definitely not brains. So like that might have been like what like therapy might have been hinting and hoping that like Satya would get what like Satya Nakatati was trying to tell. These Satya is definitely not brains. So trying to like want of this definitely not brains. So definitely specifically that absolute threat and I'm wondering Satya might have not got what like Kakashi was trying to like communicate as for like that absolute threat lying in like using like the Chidori threat seeing like Sasuke it's definitely well trained. So like I'm doing because of like that lack of awareness I'm doing like Sasuke right now definitely will be using like Chidori right. And I'm wondering that fear Kakashi might have been a that like if in like that Sasuke's case that he use force of like that right using like the Chidori right and ends up having like origin chakra ending up being zero, then automatically not for like Sasuke. If Sasuke survives, then automatically Sasuke will be forced to like access like the only chakra Sasuke will be having at that point will be like the chakra contained within like the mark of Orochimaru. There are definitely chakra then use the mark of Orochimaru. So it's definitely answering. So like I'm thinking like definitely this would be that the last thing Akashi would be wanting is for like once again for like the mark of Orochimaru like take control of Sasuke. It's definitely answering. So definitely, like I'm also bringing right now, like the person like solely due to like Sasuke's lack of like realization. I'm also bringing lack of like the truth that threat, the of like the truth threat of like the mask of Orochimaru, like causing using Chidori threat like seriously creating like the possibility of like the mask of Orochimaru totally being once again unleashed and taking over Sasuke's body. Like he due to like Sasuke not realizing about threat I'm looking right now. Sasuke totally like definitely I'm looking right now using like the Chidori right. And like the third time like I'm looking definitely uh, I'm looking like Sasuke will be putting like everything into that third Chidori. And I'm looking like definitely like that Chidori like working out successfully, and I believe like that third Chidori and Spring would be a whole lot stronger than like the two Chidori that Sasuke has sort of used against like Gaara's like the scenario that I'm looking, and that third Chidori and second Spring would be causing significant damage to like Gaara, even while Gaara is like having like transformed partly transformed form of like one arm and like a tail like under even that form of Gaara will be like seriously getting affected and injured by like Sasuke's like third Chidori's like the scenario that I'm looking, but like in the case of like blood campus or like the recoil effect would be like supposing his chakra and that different not only his like Sasuke chakra ending up being zero, but like the scenario thinking like Sasuke taking significant injuries himself for like the finish like chakra as well. Like never friend. So like I'm looking Sasuke's body like I'm looking like that so the like automatically on after like activating like the search or like Sasuke's body like automatically like injuring up as like the scenario that I'm to bring badly injuring and like I'm to like at that point itself I'm to like Sasuke totally to like struggle like after launching that third Chidori and like causing that serious injury to like Gaara I'm to like Sasuke totally he is exhausted and struggling to like even stand up. So like at that point I'm just going to Sasuke was struggling because like at that point Sasuke won't even be have like the strength to like probably even hold on mental and physical strength like it would just be physical strength but like Sasuke's mental strength as well using the by using the third Chidori like it might also exhaust out like things like chakra thrown out like the body like I'm like even the mental strength of like one Sasuke's fortune chakra only ending up being zero like I'm like Sasuke's like mental strength as well be greatly diminishing at that point. Another thing in like Sasuke's maybe that was the thing in like Sasuke will totally weakening up at that point and like resulting in like the mark of Orochimaru that way breaking Sasuke's will and taking over Sasuke's like in that body is like the scenario that I'm observing because like for Sasuke will like maintain his like will in like current usual strong state like and resist like the uh, spreading and prevent like the spreading of like Orochimaru's mark like I'm at least like a certain tiny bit of like Sasuke's chakra might be required. So like I'm looking at once, but like if like Sasuke's chakra ends up being absolute zero, like I'm looking at that point, like the mark might certainly be able to easily break the will of Sasuke and like take over Sasuke's body. So, like the scenario that I'm doing, and that exactly happening. So sort of feeling I'm but like I'm doing that way, like the after using like the search Chidori, I'm doing like Sasuke totally Gaara actually would be like injured to like a certain great extent, and at that point, if I'm doing like Sasuke having the transformation and like the mark of Orochimaru, like totally taking over Sasuke's body and controlling Sasuke once again is like the scenario that I'm doing. And I'm just wondering maybe when this exactly happens, I'm just wondering like maybe Orochimaru even being able to like sense this as well. It's also like a possibility about it. Orochimaru who's in currently in this like tough spot against like Satobi. That Orochimaru like I'm just maybe even being able to like sense even while being in like such a tough and intense situation, a bigger situation, Orochimaru with like Satobi trying to like pull out like Orochimaru chakra. I'm just wondering maybe this like factor this might give a huge advantage and like huge moral boost and confidence boost to like Orochimaru at that point is also definitely one of them. So like I'm thinking maybe at that point like Orochimaru like setting out in sense like Sasuke being controlled by getting the mask taking over like Orochimaru's mask taking over Sasuke's body and everything like at that point like while Orochimaru will be sensing that like I'm remembering Orochimaru will be totally having that absolute moral boost at that point and consciousness at that point and Orochimaru will be excited and happy at that point. So like I'm just straight away like Orochimaru exerting more power onto this like a snake sword on Satobi and like that's Ambassador being the point where like Satobi's body will be heating up. And Ambassador like in such an indirect manner like Ambassador maybe for like a scenario is like Sasuke playing that much of a role in like the present in like the in deciding like the fate of Orochimaru as well as Satobi in like the present. It's also like not the fate of like Satobi, like the fate of Satobi along the lines of like basically Satobi who was like totally willing to like to be the sacrifice in exchange for protecting like the village like by taking out Orochimaru that whole scope of like Satobi and like basically all that like being accidentally without realizing like that destroying all that and basically causing Orochimaru to be able to like defeat Satobi. All this happening like remotely through Sasuke without Sasuke even realizing this so like an eventual conflict scenario that I'm also not agree. And I'm going to like once like Sasuke will be controlled by like Orochimaru's mark, like I'm looking at that point like Sasuke instantly like the chakra that will be flowing through Sasuke's body would be like Orochimaru's chakra. So like instantly Sasuke at that point will be getting that major power upgrade and boost and Sasuke's strength instantly would be like will be far superior to the strength of like the original Sasuke before like the in like the person like the mark taking off Sasuke like the scenario that I'm doing. So like that superior strength like I'm doing like yet even with like the mark taking off Sasuke like I'm doing still like the strength with which like Sasuke will be fighting off against like Gaara even at that point number will be like nowhere near like the levels of strength of like the or levels of strength with which like right now like the person Orochimaru had fought up against like Sasuke definitely not very much so definitely still with that major upgrade in like Sasuke's strength with like original chakra and going Sasuke only at that point straight away without showing any mercy like charging toward like the badly injured Gaara and Ambulance creating a Sasuke causing more injury than Sasuke like without showing any mercy like launching consecutive attack on like Gaara and not even giving Gaara an inch or like a gap and basically without that like Sasuke like okay quickly launching that consecutive attack on Gaara. So like after Gaara, the last few transfer at that point, which is suffering to like the point where like eventually the transfer like retaliating and basically like breaking that like limit, breaking the transfer limit and basically that way the transfer at that point is when numbers were right now like the transfer might like fully transform, like manage to like retaliate, gain the strength to like retaliate and basically that whole giant transformation of Java happening at that point is like the scenario that I'm looking that way like I'm looking like uh Sasuke while fighting with like the power of like Orochimaru. Orochimaru's mark like was it like Jara in a like fully transformed transfer form, like giant transfer form, like that fight happening and really still even though like still after that transformation Jara like I'm looking like Sasuke still even with that power will be like starting to like struggling into like Jara. So like I'm looking still I'm looking at like the fight for the I'm looking Jara's then transform form like I'm looking at that league or sorry and defeating Jara and as it would be like about to take care of if you are offering a defeating rough candidate, it would be about to take something like that. Naruto showing up and saying something like scenario doesn't pretty long. Okay, so like the animals branch right now is like the third story and Orochimaru not spreading or Sasuke. And I'm the referring like with like the charge towards Sasuke, like the animal branch right now is that like the spreading of like Orochimaru's mouth would be still in like in process of like fully spreading all over Sasuke's body, the animal branch. And it will be due to like the process going on right now the next Sasuke right now won't be having like for that in power of like through like Orochimaru like map like it's like chakra and everything like which will be like the spreading of that map will be in like process right now and that will be the reason for like Sasuke totally being unable to like move and basically still being in that exhaustion of using like the third chakra and like totally lying on the floor and like so with like Gaara right now jogging towards like Sasuke like I'm going like the scenario that I'm thinking right now is for like a Gaara would be like about to land his like ultimate sanctuary transform attack on like Sasuke right now. Because like at that very last second is when I was like the spreading of like the map all of Sasuke's body finally being that process finally being complete. So like at that point I'm looking as Gaara will be about to land his attack like I'm going Sasuke with like I'm considering Sasuke with just with like single arm like basically just slapping Java the face. It's like the scenario that I'm doing. So like just Sasuke at that point like with like the power like Orochimaru's like chakra like I'm doing like of Orochimaru's mark like I'm doing like with just a single slap like basically slapping away the giant attack of like the giant transform attack attack of like Gaara like just with like such in such a easy and casual manner like I'm living like okay just slapping that attack away and like that itself like sending Gaara the transformed Gaara like sending flight and basically crashing on one of the trees like the scenario that I'm living and Gaara will be totally shocked by this like massive swim in like its power and I'm living it will be only at that point that I'm living like Gaara would even be noticing the difference in like Sasuke with like the map like spreading throughout like Sasuke like basically that change in like Sasuke's like look and appearance like basically only at that point that like got out which only because it took like the scenario that I'm about to correct and everything. Also, like the new information right now, which like now for right now showing up to like rescue Sasuke already like I'm putting the lead like scenario to be like the transferring the Gaara like I'm going to be like getting extremely enraged and irritated with like Naruto and like the scenario that I'm going to like the transfer the Gaara and the main both won't be that at all even seeing Naruto at all like even a threat or like a worthy enough like an opponent to even waste time on with the along the lines like I'm looking like the transfer the Gaara would be thinking stepping about the rest, but like the concept would be like person of Naruto and the definitely enraging and the Sanskrit and basically the Sanskrit straight away. Gaara straight away right now the shouting at like Naruto to like basically to like step aside, move aside that basically that it's like Sasuke that like he wants Gaara wants to fight and basically like I'm the like Gaara totally like talking like respectful man of connected to like Naruto. I think like Naruto is not even worthy of like Gaara time would be along the lines of the different like Gaara telling Naruto. And I was looking like Naruto still refusing to like move. And I was looking like Gaara charging towards like trying to like attack Sasuke. Gaara's eyes would be like Gaara was straight away ignoring Naruto and then I was looking like Gaara straight away focused on while focused on Sasuke like Gaara straight away charging towards Sasuke like the scenario that I'm doing. Once again like Naruto jumping in like the middle of like the scenario that I'm doing and Gaara would be like and Gaara was like single attack would be sending Naruto flying and this game Naruto getting badly injured from that single attack of Gaara itself, like the scenario that I'm doing. And I was looking like at that point when Gaara would be making it towards like Sasuke. At that point, at that point when I was looking like Sasuke's like that whole process of like spreading of like Orochimaru's map would be finally complete and just like a single attack like Gaara, Sasuke at that point like getting Gaara flying like the scenario that I was looking. And then I was like, it won't be like the very same Sasuke. Like it will be like Sasuke like personality and everything once again changing exactly. It looks like the mark of Orochimaru totally taking control, having finished like taking control not only over like the that process being over and like that way the mark of Orochimaru uh totally the villanistic shade like totally happening and it really like that mark of Orochimaru at that point like totally having taken control not only over like person's body but also over Sasuke's mind. So like I'm looking won't be like the way to same Sasuke at that point is like the scenario that I'm looking so definitely I'm looking like Sasuke would be straight away that will be also ignoring all of them and will be only having just like eyes on like Gaara alone is definitely going to So like Sasuke would be like an extremely angry manner will be charging towards like Gaara and would be like without showing any mercy would be like in a consecutive manner would be like attacking and badly injuring Gaara at that point is like scenario that so I'm also preparing for Naruto at that point. I'm also definitely trying to like the only thing in like Naruto's mind would be to like stop the fight and to get Sasuke back according to like Tadachi's order. So like I'm doing like Naruto would be like jumping in like the middle of that fight and trying to like convince like Sasuke to that basically they have to like return back. So like I'm doing maybe I think like that would be the point where like Naruto would be like the probably the first time we'll be seeing that or even knowing about like the mask of Orochimaru and like the spreading of it. And I was thinking, so like I'm not even seeing Sasuke itself, like seeing like the spreading of like the mask of Orochimaru and like seeing that difference in like Sasuke's appearance itself, like I'm looking like not totally shocked as to like what's going on with like Sasuke. And Sasuke would be like thoroughly acting in an extremely indifferent and villainous and dangerous man like Naruto. So like as Naruto would be trying to like convince Sasuke about the Sasuke with like a single attack, like then sending badly injuring and setting Naruto well flying is like the scenario that I'm seeing. And Sasuke would be only focused on Gaara, and Gaara himself would be only focused on Sasuke's like the scenario that I'm looking. And like I'm looking that fight progressing, and I'm looking like Naruto getting badly injured and sidelined at that point. It's like the scenario that I'm looking. But each and every single time, like I'm looking Naruto just struggling to like with the injury, like I'm looking Naruto still struggling to like get up and like would be without giving up, like Naruto would be getting once again repeatedly getting in like the middle of the Sasuke and Gaara fight until eventually like I'm going like due to like and I'm going it would be definitely mostly like Sasuke that would be attacking Naruto and due to that Naruto would be getting badly injured. So like during this time like I'm going like Naruto would be trying to like convince Sasuke by saying like talking about like what the sacrifice of Shikamaru and everything like basically all being for like to save Sasuke and everything. So Sasuke would be like not even listening to any of this while each time like Naruto trying to convince Sasuke like Sasuke would be like attacking Naruto. It's like the scenario that I'm doing and continuing on Sasuke fight Gaara's like the scenario that I'm doing and I'm looking like eventually like Naruto being so badly injured that like Naruto keeps getting sidelined. It's like the scenario that I'm preparing. So, but like I'm looking for Naruto, I'm looking to like I think like he's totally unaware of like what's going on with like Sasuke, why Sasuke is like attacking Naruto. Like so like I'm looking at the situation with like Naruto at that point would be like more than like Sasuke's attack, like physically like mostly sidelining Naruto, like even more than that, like injuring and sidelining Naruto, like I'm looking even more than that, it would be like for that for Naruto, it will be like mentally that extreme pain of like seeing that Sasuke who would be definitely Naruto using Sasuke as like one of his like best friends, like basically like even attacking Naruto and acting in an extremely villainous and dangerous manner, like basically all this would be like causing so much pain within like Naruto, and that Naruto would be in pain and everything, something like I know. So asking Sakura's like why all this is happening, why Sasuke, what happened to like Sasuke and all this, like Naruto will be like desperately saying this and everything. At that point, Sakura totally revealing, finally revealing the truth about like Sasuke's situation to like Naruto. It's like the scenario that I was behind. So like I'm wondering like while Naruto would be learning this, like Naruto and Naruto at that point would be shockingly hearing all this truth coming out of like Sakura, that like Sakura, I think it had kept hidden from Naruto, like the scenario that I'm looking. So while all this was happening, I'm assuming like the fight between like Sasuke and like Gaara will be getting intense, and Naruto getting in like after Sasuke, with Sasuke's like power of like Orochimaru's like mark like and Sasuke causing a lot of like injuries and damage to like Gaara until like finally Gaara sends for it, like retaliating and transforming into like the giant Sanskrit form, and then like I'm looking like Gaara Sanskrit like totally overpowering Sasuke, and then from that point on Sasuke even with like the power of like Orochimaru's mouth, which is struggling against like Gaara giant Sanskrit form, and as like the giant Sanskrit form of Gaara like will be about to totally take Sasuke's leg, but that point is when I'm looking, it will be near to that point that I'm looking like, but when like finally Sakura would be revealing the truth about like Sasuke's situation to like Naruto's like to the sideline and defeated Naruto's like the scenario that I'm doing. And so like I'm looking at right up like the giant Sanskrit form of Gaara would be about to take Sasuke's like Naruto probably extremely angry and enraged Naruto. This is what I'm trying to be like totally. But like Sagama would not so like totally stopping that attack of like the giant and form of Gaara, like the scenario that I'm doing. And by then like I'm doing like Sasuke, even with like the power of like Orochimaru's mark would be like totally would have totally been badly defeated and badly injured and would have caught up sideline also like the scenario that I'm doing. And that being the point where like I'm thinking about the tension war like the Naruto's Gaara fight beginning the actual true fight beginning at that point is like scenario that I'm going to bring.